Are you new to QuickBooks and you're trying to figure out the correct way to set up a vendor so you can pay them with ACH or by check all inside of QuickBooks? Well, you're in the right spot. I'm Heather Hathcock and we are Oh My Solutions. We love to help business owners, bookkeepers, fellow CPAs, and really anybody trying to get their financials organized. So stay tuned to watch the video on how to correctly set up a vendor. Okay, so let's dive in on how to create a vendor. Over here on the gray bar under Expense and Vendors, it's going to jump you to a screen of every single vendor that you've ever created, plus any information that you have on them. If you need more information on this vendor, such as notes or a copy of the W-9 that you've uploaded, you can click on it and it'll take you into their actual vendor profile. You can also use the search menu to search for any kind of vendor that has these letters and an easier way to get to that vendor. But in this case, we're going to create a new vendor where we can do that up here in the top right corner. Now, there's another way anywhere inside of QuickBooks that you can use this plus new function up here on the left-hand side. And then under vendors, add vendor, and it'll jump you to that same screen that we're going to get to by clicking that green button. Two ways to get there, both pretty simple. All right, the most important piece is to put the vendor name. The reason is that at the end of the year, when QuickBooks is trying to do its 1099 reporting, it will gather every payment you've made to this vendor, and then it'll spit out one number for you to put on your 1099. So let's go ahead and add a business name here. And you can add any other information that you have, either a business contact, a business owner, and if you have their email will be important because then you can email them bills and receipts as you've made payments to them. So we'll add that. Woo, if I could spell it right. A phone number, mobile number, any kind of information you have so you can contact this vendor again. Now, an address. Address is important for when you are sending out the 1099. And if you're using QuickBooks to send out checks, you'll need an address. And if you're using QuickBooks to print your checks, you'll also need the address so it prints on the check and it's easy just to stuff and send it. So let's go ahead and add an address. Okay. And the next section is going to be notes and attachments. So this could be notes, maybe vendor comes to our office every 2 weeks for his check. Anything that is important for this vendor, you can put it here. And you can also add an attachment. So if you have their actual W-9 copy, you can upload it here and save it with the vendor's profile. The next piece is the bank information. You'll need to put this information in here if you're using QuickBooks to pay them directly through ACH. Now, we're in the test drive file, so it's not going to let us really show you how that's going to work. But if you had it there, when you go to Market Paid, you can pay them directly through ACH. And the next section is going to be additional information. So this is where you're going to put the business EIN or a social security number. This is another very important piece when it comes to 1099s at the end of the year, because having all this information in there, when it spits out the report for you to just plug in to either track 1099 or even using QuickBooks to file your 1099s, everything is in there ready to go. Now, if you are using this vendor for a service, make sure you check this box. It says track for 1099 purposes so that it will pull that report at the end of the year. Now, if you have a billing rate, you would enter that here. What terms do you like to get paid on? If there's an account number, so like if you're sending a utility bill check, most of those want to have your account number on there so they can easily apply that check to your account number. So you'll want to add that. And then if there's an account that this vendor will always go to, or a category that this vendor will always go to. For example, if it's a utility bill and it's always going to go to the utility account, you can choose that so QuickBooks knows anytime a bill is paid, it goes there. But if it could be a vendor like Amazon where you're going to have multiple different accounts you'll be using, you can just leave it blank and choose it as you're accepting banking later. Okay, last piece is if there's an opening balance. So if you have an established business and you're using QuickBooks for the first time and you maybe owe this vendor money, but you haven't set up any bills yet, you can enter it here. That way it keeps track of what your actual payable balance is. But if not, you can leave it for zero and then hit save. And once you hit save, you have successfully set the vendor up to start entering bills and paying them by checks or ACH. I hope you liked that video. Like the video, subscribe to our channel for updates. And if you have any questions once you dive into your real file, feel free to message us and we'll be glad to help.